look at the Dolphins' 21st pick, you see clearly they're in a prime position to get an excellent player. And the way it's kind of laid out as far as, quote unquote, the deepest part of the draft, the most talent, you never really know. I mean, Brock Purdy was last quarterback taken in the draft, and he's ended up being way, way better than a lot of first-round picks. But, the overall theory is this is a top-heavy draft, a deep draft for receiver and tackle position. And, the Dolphins, they don't need a receiver. They need a tackle. But when you look at what you can do, if you get a top receiver, being able to have 3 wide receivers to attack secondaries and, go all in on the pass attack like nobody's business, or maybe move off Waddle and Hill and use that capital to fill all the spots. So you have the tackle and you have the receiver, and these are critical positions that teams are going to spend their first-round draft pick on. Now, the Dolphins also need interior offensive line, and there is a very thin group of top-end talent. And if there's a run on both these, the tackle and the receiver spot, it could put one of these guys in the Dolphins' lap. But we don't know how it's going to play out. We hear Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel saying they're really looking at a receiver. History says they're not going to take an interior offensive lineman. Although we did take Mike Pouncey, and Grier was big part of that back in the day. So you never know. It's all smoke and mirrors. Grier could easily be saying, I'm going to draft a receiver to get people to jump in front of him to take a receiver, so guys that he might want to fall back. We don't know. So I'm going to get into the situation here and how whatever this run happens. So if we get a big run on receivers, and the NFL, the teams around the league say, hey, this is a key position. We need this over the tackle spot. It's going to say a lot about what the consensus view of importance is. But then conversely, if we see a run on this tackle spot, then it's going to say something as well. Now, you could get a little mishmash here and there, but I think it's very interesting how that plays out. And then really the Dolphins' second-round draft pick is almost as big as their first. Wilkins is gone. Hunt is gone. You got the talent up in front, and so maybe you understand why they're going to take a receiver. But that second spot clearly has got to be on the defensive side of the ball, and there's going to be talent there. So I'm going to get into that as well, guys. So live on Friday night, I'm going to go over this kind of topic, any topics you want to bring up. I'm going to have a bunch of guys come on. Maybe one day we'll get some girls too. And talk football, Dolphins football, any football. It doesn't have to be. I just love to talk football. So Friday night, 10 p.m. my time, which is 1 hour behind Eastern time. So it's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern time. And so come check me out there. But guys, I want to give you a shout out for the likes, the subscribes, the views. All that stuff keeps me in business. I love to do this. I love to study football and then converse with you guys and then get better at the game I love. Okay? So I want to give you a shout out and a shout out to Ace Bird, my sponsor, because without the two of you, this show ain't going down. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. Okay, so, I'm the offensive line guy. And you could say I'm the offensive line guy because I do a lot of coverage on the offensive line. But, I see people kind of bringing up like, you're too hot and heavy on the offensive line. But ever since I was in the Pee-wees all the way up to college, all the way through to, watching pros and people talk about the pros and professionals. Even heard Hill say it all starts with Tehran, the guys up front. The NFL world goes round and round by the offensive line. And it's not just me saying that. You don't need top 5, but you need that blocking or control of the line of scrimmage to then filter things back, at least at a decent level. And so the trenches is what I believe in, sets the tone. It's got to be, it can't be so damaging to your effort, whether it's on defense or offense, to cripple you, it could be okay. And then your secondary takes over and your linebackers take over, or on offense, your skills and your quarterback and your running back take over. It doesn't need to be top 5, even top 10. But it's got to be decent with decent depth. And I think if you have that, then you could do anything. But that's my belief. Chris Grier has taken another approach. He believes in skills, speed, and really playing the game where skills are primary, and then the offensive line is on a lower level. You could debate what he thinks the lower level is, but it is obviously a lower level. Now, Chris Grier has said that he's really interested in the receiver, and I can understand that. We could debate on which guy they're going to take and what they're not going to take. But the NFL, I believe, in my evaluation, and it's just my evaluation, is moving to a balanced offensive attack. They're moving to focus more on the offensive line because the lack of two-a-days, the lack of chemistry that gets built, demands that you have higher level talent to overcome this lack of chemistry building. And you could see that when guys don't have the talent, they get exposed. And the refs, they kind of adjusted their calls on the holding to let a lot more stuff go down because they know that the product's going to look crap unless they allow certain things to pass by. But that's my view. But the NFL is going to tell you what their view is. And it doesn't mean it's right. Are they going to agree with the Chris Grier philosophy and go really hot? There's like 5 receivers, maybe 6, that are difference makers, and maybe more when you get into the second round, but at least 5 or 6 receivers could go in this first round. Conversely, it's the same thing with the tackle spot. There's like 6 or maybe even 7 that are going to go in the first round. And the way teams focus that first round pick is going to change everything. And your team in the back end is going to have a different selection depending on how this run happens. Now, for me, it's very interesting because you're going to see what this belief is. I know that every GM wants a good offensive lineman, especially a tackle, and wants a good receiver. But you can only take one, and it will be interesting to see how this plays out. And it's going to I think it's going to put Dolphins in a great position in the sense that Chris Grier's philosophy, if it truly is this, that receiving talent is key, it could give him the guy he wants to really take this to, Waddle, Hill, and some other, freakish receiver in the draft. With Jonnu and Achane and Moses, that's insane. I don't think anyone's ever seen anything like that. And so it will give him a perfect framework for his philosophy to be run through. And we can see, hey, look, if you have all this receiving talent, all this speed, and you're still not getting to at least a conference championship or winning a playoff game, then look, this is not the right philosophy. But it's going to give him the opportunity to prove his philosophy is correct or incorrect. But then the same token, if the rest of the NFL is like, I like what Chris Grier is doing, I kind of see what they go for the receiving talent, it's going to put a tackle right into the laps of the Dolphins. It will certainly put a guy like JPJ, right there. We might not take him, but it might put that tackle, and Grier will more likely take a tackle, even if it's not his top-end philosophy, who could play guard. And then the Dolphins can move off Armstead next year, and you'll have Jackson in a nice tackle, and then you can start filling out this offensive line. So it really puts the Dolphins in a great position to see how it plays out. And, maybe if they get different, they can go get the interior offensive lineman. So the Dolphins are here. We got to see what they do. You never know. They could grab an edge player. We could be talking receiver and tackle, and all of a sudden you get a run on receiver and tackle, and then an edge player is sitting there, and they take that. So you don't really know, but you will be able to tell 100% how the NFL in an overview is viewing these positions. And what they're seeing is how the league is heading. Because you grab players sometimes based on what you need, but other times because it's a copycat league. And as a trend cycle happens, small amount of guys see the new trend cycle. And then everyone else goes, oh, I didn't see that. I got to get to that. And that's how you see these trends going. Maybe the trend is receiver, and Grier saw the trend before it happened. Maybe it's the pass balance, and that's a trend. We're going to get a great view because of how this draft, the talent is laid out. Now, in the second round, I mean, if we get rid of a receiver, it's not my thing, but I can see it, right? But that second round, we really need an interior player. And for me, if you get Sweat, I love Nagata. I loved Will Falk. I love Vita Vea. Even like Lawrence. I like that big Paul Soale, this guy in the 2012-13, and he was a real fun player. I love those big guys who can move. And we missed out on some of the elites. Soale was pretty good, but these guys were elite. And Sweat looks like he could be one of these guys. Now, I don't know if we're going to grab him. There's other guys there that we can get. But if you go back and you look at Weaver's career, when he had Ross Black Rock, 6'5", 307 in 2020 with the Texans. He had P.J. Hall, 6'1", 308, and Alua Fuai, 6'4", 319. None of these guys exceptionally big, and none of these guys exceptionally good. And the run defense was 32nd in the league, and it was a bad defense. And so we have to understand that Shula is considered one of the best coaches, and he got players in here, and he could only get so much out of them. He couldn't just create nobodies into somebody. He could raise their game and help them, but you either can play at a high level because of your natural abilities, and then, you work hard and you grow into accentuating those abilities, or you just try to be the best you can and you're not really a super impactful player. You can't take guys that aren't that good and make them unbelievable. So Weaver needs talent, just like any coach in the NFL. Now, with the Ravens, he didn't call, but we see that nose tackle was there in the Texans. They run 4-3, 3-4, depending, but you need the big guy in the middle to sit over the center or sit in the one gap between the guard and center and suck up 2 blocks, and then it frees up the guys around you. Now, he had Michael Pierce. Just for a second, think about this. 6 foot, I didn't realize, I thought he was like 6'2". 6 foot 355. Can you imagine how difficult? Not only is he a big guy, big, I'm sure his arms are gigantic too, but 6 foot, the leverage. This guy is like the Rock of Gibraltar. I did not realize this guy is unbelievable. And in a day and age where it's all about passing, he is an anomaly for so many reasons. And then you got Travis Jones, 6'4", 338. Girthy guys. Okay, big girthy guys. Now, Travis is bigger. Pierce is shorter. Both are exceptional in the run game. Obviously, Travis is a little bit better in the pass rush. He's just a little bit small, a little more rangy, gets the hands up high. When you're short, your hands don't get up as high, and you can't affect the pass game. And also, when you're 6 foot 355, you're not like blazing speed to get to the quarterback. But these are big guys, and the Ravens this year were 13th in the league in rushing. You can say, well, 32nd sucks, but 13th isn't phenomenal. And you got these guys. But guys, you have to remember that they were the lightest front in the league. Without a doubt. They were the number one lightest front, that they presented the smallest front on play-by-play, down-by-down basis in the league. And they still had the 13th lightest front in the NFL. Now, that ability to get to the to stop the pass and keep the passer rating low because of that light front went from like number one in the league when they were good on first down run stop to like last or second or third in the league bottom in allowing the pass to be completed when that first down run didn't succeed. So you need to stop this run to help them out, at least on first down. And so I can see how the Dolphins, they could get a guy in the back end. There's some big guy, nose tackle guys. Maybe you could find guys in the free agency, older guys like a Jenkins or something like that to fill that first down spot. But they're going to have to do something. Now, Benito Jones, 6'1", 335. He's kind of in that Michael Pierce build, but he had a 34 PFF run stop rating. Oh, no, sorry, 39.1. And that was over 602 snaps. And you might not agree with PFF, but they're not that off. So this guy did not do well in his job. And now he's about 25, 26, so he's kind of got his man strength. He could get a little bit more, but he's really kind of there right now. And I don't know if you can see this guy. He's got the physical prototype, and maybe he could be coached up. Maybe he could take that next step. I didn't see the plays and why in this, but that's not very encouraging. Now, Brandon Peely, I liked a lot. I thought he was going to make the roster last year. I did a bunch of film on him. I said, this guy's got a little bit of spice in him with his movement skills of being in that size. But he gives his all. He's kind of like Sealer. Like he just recklessly tries to stop any kind of blockers and get through him and hold his spot. And I like that a lot, but it was reckless and sometimes he was off balance. Now, the kid's kind of young. He's like 25, I think. So I think Benito Jones is 26, 25, 26, maybe the same age. He's 25. So he was 24 last year. And if you remember Wilkins, when he came in, he was a little bit of a man, but it took him a year or two to really get his feet. And that was that third and fourth year where he took off. So Peely, maybe it was close. The battles he had was close. And I could see him going from like a reckless, unable to hold my spot to like, hey, maybe I'm holding it down. And then the following year, really pop. 6'3", 319, but he only had 29 snaps last year. So the experience isn't there. So if these are your two guys in that 0 and 1 technique, maybe it plays off well, but it's kind of got to be touch and go. I mean, you can't really be like, oh, wow. Now, I like, obviously, Zach Sealer, 6'6", 305, and then Deshaun Hand, 6'3", 297, is a really good player, guys, in the run stop. And he did pretty good in the pass rush as well, but he only played 219 snaps. Now, it's very in flux the way things look, but generally speaking, when you come out with 3 down linemen, you got the linebackers outside and 2 linebackers behind you, the concept is 1 D end is like the run stopping guy. And you usually put him, usually they'll flip the guys, not always, but they like to, and put him on the strong side, where the tight end is, and you got him there, and he's the guy who's going to hold the ground, absorb the double. Then you got your nose tackle. He kind of does the same thing. So you got 2 guys that you believe in the run game are going to suck up 2 blocks. But then the other guy is the pass rush guy, and that's Sealer. And the height is able to get the hand up to block the pass, to this ability to get after the quarterback, but also to hold your ground in the run stop. And I like Sealer a ton out in that 3, 4, and 5 technique. Not so much. He could do it, but not so much in the 2, 1, or 0, because I've shown he's so tall, he gets out leveraged, really in the double, but then you can see him break down. And so this is a nice little combo. If you added Sweat to this, Sweat is fast, 5.07 or something like that, 40 or 5.71, 740 for a guy who's 355, 360 pounds, maybe even a little bit bigger, 65, and you put him in the middle. And then you got your Benito Jones and Peely to learn from him, to go behind him, to give him breathers. And then you got Deshaun Hand, and then you got Sealer. You've got the guys to free Brooks and the linebackers in the back end and to free the edge players. And so for me, that second round pick, man, I don't care really. I sort of do, that first round pick. I'm just kind of, I got my belief, but I'm allowing, I'm having the fandom to accept that maybe Grier's right. He could throw his receivers out there and do whatever he's got to do. But you've got to stop the run on defense. You've got to get this small box off the field because they can't just keep taking hits. So if they add Sweat somehow in that second round, I'm almost like, almost don't care because I want to see if Grier's right, if his philosophy is correct or it's wrong. And if they grab the tackle, it might be that middle ground where we don't know. But if he certainly grabs the receiver, I'll know 100%. But if you add Sweat, this is a guy who's going to be in this defense for a long, long time. He's the only difference maker in the nose tackle spot. Now, you could say you grab some of these other guys that are smaller and they can get it. But guy, when this is why these guys are 350, 360, because you got 2 guys coming at you at 300 pounds. You got 600 pounds of beef. And every pound that you can get, every advantage you can get to hold down that double, you need it. And so you really can't get guys that are 300 pounds, no matter how good they were. College is one thing, but here's another, to be in that nose tackle spot. But maybe we don't play nose tackle. Maybe we change the look up, and we're not running what we saw with the Texans. We're not running what we saw with the Ravens. But for me, Sweat is a guy, man. He's the guy that would really lift this secondary up, because he's a physical presence. So anyway, guys, that's what I think. I think we'll see what happens with Grier. We'll find out what he's really about. Maybe we'll get to see with his accentuation of a third receiver, if Grier's philosophy works or not. Or maybe he's playing the game and he grabs a JPJ or he grabs a tackle. I don't know. We'll see. But if we get Sweat, it's a winner for me. It's a winner for me. We've got all these draft picks next year. You're not going to see a guy like Sweat too often. They come around every couple of years, these giant guys. Look what Vita Vea did for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And look what Nagata and Wilfork. So to me, Sweat is the key to this draft, because despite my love of the offensive line, I've got to admit, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. But Sweat is the guy. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed. This is a big draft for us. We need physicality, at least on one side of the ball, if not both. Maybe you find a guard late or whatever. But get ready. This draft is going to be so huge. It's going to tell us so much stuff from the way the NFL thinks, to the way Grier thinks, and to what we got. So get ready. Curtis saying, catch you next time. Be well. Go Phins. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.